Are you all right?
Yeah, fine.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 30 most terrifying or disturbing moments in TV shows. We'll be excluding animation. Beware of spoilers.
All we can do about changing things is be ready for it.
Number 30. Opening scene, The Leftovers. Imagine waking up, going about your daily routine, then suddenly your little baby vanishes. No sound, no warning, just gone.
Okay, I'm in the car right now. Can you make the formula? I'm gonna be home in...
Even worse, there's no body, no clue, and no explanation as to why it happened. Panicking, you realize that you're not the only one. Others are screaming for loved ones who've disappeared into thin air.
Sam?
What could be scarier than that? Absolutely nothing can amount to that existential dread. That is the haunting reality of this world, where about 2% of the population has disappeared, leaving the leftovers to grapple with the emotional wreckage. Some concepts should never leave the fictional realm, because when you imagine them happening, no nightmare even comes close. Number 29. Unholy Mother, The Fall of the House of Usher. With this, Mike Flanagan creates yet another genuinely terrifying gothic drama centered on the downfall of a wealthy family. One unforgettably scary moment, the resurrection of Eliza, mother to Roderick and Madeline. After this devout woman falls ill, she refuses medication and eventually dies.
Jesus showed us how to heal the sick, and it wasn't through medicine.
With no one to turn to, not even their father, the siblings hastily bury her in their backyard. Here's where things get truly frightening. Eliza was buried alive. On a stormy night, she claws out of the grave and pays her kids a bone-chilling visit. Sorry. But she doesn't stop there. A rage-filled, dead-ish Eliza tracks down and strangles her kid's biological father. Ghost or zombie? We have no idea, but her return froze the blood in our veins. Number 28. Splitting Headache, Chucky. The Child's Play franchise has never held back when it comes to gore and creative kills. We thought the show might tone things down, but instead, it cranks the carnage up to 11.
Who's there? I'm gonna call the cops.
One death that totally crossed the line, Michelle Cross's brutal demise. After Tiffany breaks into Michelle's home to steal a Belle doll, Michelle goes to investigate the noise.
Jennifer Toohey? Hi!
Little did she know she was headed towards a gruesome trap. While she's mid-convo with Tiffany, Chucky drops down from the chimney like Santa Claus, only he comes delivering a deadly surprise. Right in front of Tiffany, he slices Michelle clean in half. Damn! It's one of Chucky's most shocking kills, and honestly, it left us more than a little traumatized. Number 27. Satanic Sister, The Exorcist. We've seen great twists, but this one? It left our jaws on the floor. Angela Rance suspects there's a demonic entity in her household, and all signs point to her moody, withdrawn daughter Catherine.
I'm wildly aware of the fact that everyone thinks I'm this fragile little ornament, but I'm fine. I'm dealing.
Naturally, we assumed she's the one possessed. Imagine our shock when we discover that the sweet and supportive younger sister Casey is the one under the influence of Pizuzu, the demon from the original film.
Casey?
Her physical transformation, her unnatural voice and strength, it all brought back the iconic imagery from the franchise that gave us sleepless nights. We did not see that coming. Number 26. Peter Romanczyk's werewolf transformation, Hemlock Grove. Goosebumps alert, you might want to skip this one. The town of Hemlock Grove is plagued by violent deaths, and some townsfolk believe Peter Romanczyk is behind them. Can you blame them? He's rumored to be a werewolf, and that rumor turns out to be true.
Your index and middle fingers are the same length, and I say that makes you a werewolf.
Jesus. Where did you get something like that?
When Peter finally reveals his real form, we're hit with a visceral sight we'll never forget. Instead of a smooth, magical transformation, the beast literally rips its way out of Peter's body, causing his skin to fall to the ground. It is so grotesque, we wish we had covered our eyes earlier, but by then, it was way too late. Hands down, it is one of the nastiest things we've seen on TV. Thanks a lot, Eli Roth. Number 25. Norma's Death, Bates Motel. How far would you go to keep someone you love forever? For Norman Bates, the answer is chilling all the way. After Norma falls in love and marries the town's sheriff, Norman loses it.
All I want for you is for you to get better and to get the help that you need.
I need? So I'm the only one that needs help, really?
Consumed by jealousy, he decides the only way to keep his mother to himself is ensuring they die together. While she sleeps, he floods the house with carbon monoxide. The contrast of them lying peacefully on their beds and the true brutality of their reality amplifies the dread. But it gets darker. Romero returns home to discover mother and son unconscious, and it turns out Norma's dead while the culprit lives. It's gut-wrenching. Norma may have helped shape the monster, but this is still an indescribably disturbing scene. Number 24, A Delicious Hunt, Yellow Jackets. Of course, we expected this survival show to be intense, but that opening scene? It launched us straight into a frenzy with no warning. It begins with a girl running through an icy forest, barefoot and panicked, stalked by unseen hunters. Then, she falls into a spiked pit. Absolutely brutal. What happens next, though, is even more terrifying. Masked figures draped in animal furs and Yellow Jacket t-shirts drag her away before she's slaughtered. This sequence left us with so many unsettling questions. Who are these people? How did it come to this? At that point, we had no answers. But one thing became clear. Yellow Jackets isn't just a survival tale. It's a descent into primal terror with no escape from its unsavory elements. Number 23. Damon Pope's Revenge, Sons of Anarchy. An eye for an eye makes the world blind, and Sons of Anarchy proves just that. Fueled by a lie about Clay's shooting, Tig targets Leroy, only to end up killing his girlfriend, not knowing she's Damon Pope's daughter. To get even, Damon doesn't just retaliate, he orchestrates something unimaginably evil.
And do you know what happens now?
You kill me.
That'd be too easy.
Lured to an empty yard, Tig is handcuffed to a pole and forced to watch helplessly as his daughter is burned alive. The violence itself is horrifying, but it's Tig's unbearable grief that makes this one of the show's darkest moments. It's seriously the kind of horror no parent should ever face. This just goes to show that one mistake can definitely cost you everything.
Let's go.
Number 22, Finding the Angel, Midnight Mass. This Netflix supernatural horror didn't have many jump scares, but the few it did deliver hit us pretty hard. One that nearly sent us flying off the couch was Father Paul's first encounter with the vampire angel. In a flashback to his time in the Holy Land, Father Paul gets trapped in a sandstorm and stumbles into a dark, claustrophobic cave. Out of the shadow emerges a grotesque bat-like creature that leaves us as terrified as he is. Frankly, it's a perfectly timed jump scare that caught us completely off guard. What's even wilder is Father Paul's decision to bring the same thing back to Crockett Island. Just what the heck was he thinking? Number 21, Human Cello, Hannibal. Brian Fuller's psychological horror series is not for everyone. With its gory, strangely artistic murders, it will mess with your mind as much as it does with your stomach.
Is it me, or is it becoming easier for you to look?
One scene that continues to haunt us? The human cello. Yeah, you heard that right. Serial killer Tobias turns a corpse into a ghastly musical instrument, with strings and all. It is twisted, surreal, and impossible to forget. Through Graham's vivid, unsettling vision, we see how the sickening sight was crafted, making it 10 times more disturbing. Someone's vocal cords being played like a violin? That's not fascinating, that's downright chilling. According to Lecter, Tobias may have been serenading another killer. That makes it even sicker.
And you believe he risked getting caught for a serenade?
I believe he wants to show someone how well he plays.
Number 20, Jacob's Cabin, Lost. We certainly wouldn't call Lost scary, but it did have its creepy moments. But Jacob's Cabin goes beyond creepy. This was straight up horrifying.
This is John. Aren't you going to say hello, John?
At the tail end of season 3, Locke demands that Ben take him to see Jacob. Ben, in turn, takes him to the seemingly empty cabin, prompting Locke to grow frustrated. But then things start shaking, items fly across the room, and even a shadow figure is seen sitting in the chair that was previously vacant.
You said...
The sequence puts most ghost movies to shame, and it rightfully generated a ton of discussion online. When Lost wanted to creep us out, it creeped us out good. Number 19, Vanessas Possession, Penny Dreadful.
What's going on?
Ladies, please remove your gloves.
I believe we're about to commune with the spirits.
This Showtime horror show takes its name from the Penny Dreadfuls, a type of cheap, mass-produced, pulpy horror story produced in the United Kingdom throughout the 19th century. It contained a ton of popular horror characters, including Dorian Gray, Victor Frankenstein and his monster, and Abraham Van Helsing. In the second episode of the series, Eva Green's Vanessa Ives attends a seance and grows possessed, resulting in one of the most disturbing possessions ever put to screen. Green is simply spectacular throughout the entire sequence, and her performance is wonderfully aided by the emotional reaction shots of those around her, who cannot believe what they're seeing and hearing. Number 18, The Window Vampire, Salem's Lot. From November 17th to the 24th, 1979, CBS aired one of the scariest miniseries of all time, an adaptation of Stephen King's seminal vampire novel, Salem's Lot. Don't let the fact that this is a cheap TV miniseries from the 70s deter you. It is absolutely horrifying. It's perhaps most well known for the iconic window scene, in which young Danny Glick emerges from the fog and begins scratching on Mark Petrie's window. The visuals alone are freaky enough, but the tense music elevates the scene to the next level. Now, just remember, this scene was on primetime television. Anyone could have seen it. Surely it left some children traumatized for years. Number 17, Teddy Perkins, Atlanta. Sometimes the scariest scenes don't need overt horror or monsters. They just need silence, tension, and that creeping feeling that something is deeply wrong.
Hello?
That's exactly what Atlanta delivers with this episode. Darius visits a weird mansion to pick up a rare piano, but from the moment he steps inside, something is amiss.
I'm Darius.
Apologies. I'm Theodore Perkins. Please. Call me Teddy.
Despite every red flag screaming for Darius to leave, like Teddy Perkins' eerie behavior, he stays. Then comes the chilling twist. Teddy reveals he intends to use Darius as a sacrifice to boost interest in his museum.
Congratulations.
For what?
I choose you.
Thankfully, Benny shows up just in time to stop Teddy's evil plan, but not before we are left completely shaken. Number 16, Bloody Mary, Supernatural. In 2020, Supernatural came to an end after 15 years, 15 seasons, and over 320 episodes.
It's your fault. You killed her.
Simply put, there is a lot of good horror material to choose from throughout the show's exceedingly long run. But for this one, we're going all the way back to season 1, the show's 5th episode to be exact. The legend was adapted very well for Supernatural, complete with Sam and Dean bleeding out their eyeballs and a moaning woman crawling out of a mirror on all fours, Ring style. Not to mention the creepy zombie walk she does across all the broken glass. This is Supernatural at its absolute best.
You killed them.
Number 15, Twin Birth, V, The Final Battle. This NBC sequel miniseries only ran for 3 episodes back in 1984, but it certainly left a lasting impression with this grotesque sequence.
Is she normal? Oh, as far as I can see, she's beautiful.
Quite frankly, we don't know how something like this made it onto primetime television. Robin gives birth to an adorable little baby girl, only for her to sit up and stick out a forked tongue at her own mother. Certainly freaky enough. But then a green alien baby begins crawling out of Robin and looking around with human eyes. It looks directly into the camera and a to-be-continued title card flashes across the screen, leaving us desperate for more. And we absolutely needed more because this was about the creepiest thing we had ever seen on TV at the time. Number 14, Finding Help, American Horror Story. Of all the American Horror Story seasons, Asylum was arguably the scariest, mainly due to the traumatizing sequences like this one. Poor Shelley tries to escape from the asylum, and in return, Arden amputates her legs. Sister Mary then drops her at a school where she's discovered by a child, who will most certainly require lifelong therapy. Now, just imagine being that child. You hear a creepy, high-pitched moan, you go to investigate, and you see some horrifically disfigured human with no legs slowly crawling towards you. You'd think the forces of hell were ascending from the stairs. Still, we do really feel bad for Shelley. Number 13, The Outbreak, The Last of Us. Instead of jumping straight into zombie mayhem, The Last of Us opens with father and daughter sharing quiet moments at home.
Where's the pancake mix?
Oh, was that? Yeah, it was. Sorry.
I was gonna make you birthday pancakes. I swear.
You know, I don't really like pancakes.
It's so ordinary, so comforting that when the horror strikes, it hits like a truck. Sarah wakes up in the dead of night to find her neighborhood totally unrecognizable, with humans turning into monsters right before her eyes. What makes this so downright terrifying isn't just the zombies. It's the abrupt transition. When Sarah slept, the world was fine. When she woke up, everything was falling apart. That is nightmare fuel we never want to experience in real life. And Ellie uncovering the truth about David and his group of cannibals took things to an even more terrifying level.
Well, yes, we all are. That's sort of the point.
Number 12, Tony's Dream, The Sopranos.
I'm only trying to bring good relations between the families, as I always do and always will.
The Sopranos is a show about gangsters. However, it is far more philosophical and spiritual than one might expect. Case in point, the many dream sequences sprinkled throughout the show. Like most dreams, these sequences often made little overt sense and were eerily surreal.
Hello? Hello?
The creepiest is found in Season 4's Calling All Cars, when Tony dreams about a house. He looks in and sees a horrifying shadow figure descending the stairs, where it proceeds to stop and stare at him in unbearable silence. Is it Livia, his mother? Entire essays could be written regarding the meaning of the dream. Subliminal subtext aside, this is simply a really haunting and unnerving sequence. A true nightmare brought to the screen. Number 11, What Negan Does to Glenn, The Walking Dead. The show's 6th season finale proved enormously controversial, as it ended in a manipulative cliffhanger.
My goodness! Look at this!
And even then, the long-awaited follow-up was frustratingly slow in revealing its answers. But when they came hard. Glenn was perhaps the most beloved character on The Walking Dead, so watching him die was painful enough. But it's the way he died that makes the sequence so horrific.
Back to it.
Glenn's head bashing came out of nowhere, and while The Walking Dead never shied away from gore, the result is perhaps the most dreadful and disgusting image the show has ever produced.
She is a vampire bat.
Number 10, Going In, Chernobyl. The Chernobyl disaster was begging for a screen adaptation. The world got a fantastic one in 2019 from HBO and creator/writer Craig Mazin. The first episode is all about the disaster itself, and the second concerns the preliminary cleanup work. This includes draining the basement of water to prevent a catastrophic steam explosion. In go volunteers Ananenkov, Beshpalov, and Baranov. They wade through knee-high radioactive water and attempt to make their way through the basement labyrinth in the dark. And then their flashlights go out, leaving them in utter darkness. The sound design throughout the sequence is truly intense, complete with the characters' panicked breathing and the screaming Geiger counter. Never mind the radiation. It's a miracle they didn't drop dead of fright. Number 9, The Gentleman, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Most Most people probably wouldn't consider Buffy the Vampire Slayer to be very scary, despite its image-conjuring title. Those people have not seen The Gentleman. These villains star in Season 4's Hush, which is often considered one of the best episodes of the series. These are creepy, demonic figures who take on the appearance of pale, bald humanoids with metallic teeth. They float around about an inch off the ground, use a magic box to steal people's voices, and cut out hearts with a scalpel. To make matters worse, the stolen voice prevents their victims from screaming for help, or even screaming out in pain. Wasn't this show supposed to be fun? Because watching this certainly is not fun. Number 8. The White Stuff, Game of Thrones. As scary as Ramsay Bolton was, even he can't compete with an epic battle involving ice zombies. Season 5's Hardhome mostly concerns the titular village, as Jon goes there to meet with the Lord of Bones and recruit the wildlings to his cause. But before they can leave, the village is beset by thousands of screaming, growling wights. The massacre at Hardhome is one of the show's most exciting, and certainly its scariest sequence, complete with many horrific images that will long be stuck in your mind. These include the wights charging the fence and falling off the cliff, the skeletal child wight, and the undead corpses rising to stare at Jon with their icy blue eyes. There's more horror packed into these 20 minutes than some horror movies. Number 7. The Picnic, American Horror Story. As scary as Asylum was, it didn't have freak show's Twisty the Clown. And Twisty the Clown could very well be the scariest villain in American Horror Story history.
For me.
He's introduced in brutal and agonizing fashion when crashing a nice picnic. The scene is straight out of a nightmare, complete with a grotesque and filthy creature intruding on an idyllic space. Twisty's actions are of course repulsive, but his macabre physical design adds another layer that elevates him above other freaky, murderous clowns. It's that damn mask! Then again, as we later find out, what's beneath the mask is arguably even scarier. Number 6. Vecna's Brutal Twists, Stranger Things. This coming-of-age series has always had its scary moments, but Season 4? That's when things got seriously darker, and Chrissy's death was the turning point.
Huh? Just loosening this up for you, sweetheart. You're going to look absolutely beautiful.
We barely knew her, but her sweet, awkward vibe with Eddie made us care. Then, in a blink, everything spiraled. Desperate for something to keep her awake, Chrissy goes to Eddie for help, but Vecna already had her in his grip. Before Eddie can process what's happening, Chrissy begins levitating, eyes blank, body frozen. Eddie's panicking. We're panicking. Then it happens. Her limbs snap and her eyes burst. It's a jarring moment that instantly changed the show's tone. We don't blame anyone who couldn't watch the rest of the show without dreading who would float next. Number 5. The Bent Neck Lady, The Haunting of Hill House. Even though it has basically little to do with Shirley Jackson's seminal horror novel, The Haunting of Hill House is an exceptional Netflix production that blends horror with fascinating human drama. The show is filled with many blood-curdling moments, including a dead Nell appearing behind Steve, and little Luke getting stuck in the basement with a creepy crawly. But perhaps the scariest of all is the Bent Neck Lady. Not just for her physical appearance, although that is certainly hair-raising. Rather, the scariest aspect of her character is what she represents, that being a dead Nell haunting herself from the future. We're not sure if this plot twist was more brilliant or petrifying, but either way, it is certainly memorable. Number 4. Basically the whole episode. The XFiles. Really, this entire freaking episode is terrifying. Of course, the X-Files produced some real doozies back in its heyday, including Season 1's Squeeze. But absolutely nothing beats home. In this one, Mulder and Scully travel to an isolated farmhouse to investigate the death of a baby.
Mulder, it looks as if this child has been afflicted by every rare birth defect known to science.
What they find is ripped straight from a delirious nightmare. This was the only X-Files episode to be given a TVMA rating, and the first to contain a viewer discretion warning, owing mainly to its disturbing nature and graphic violence, which included burying a baby alive.
Only one sperm in thousands from a single individual can penetrate an ovum membrane, let alone from 3 separate males.
What if generations of autosomal breeding could produce such a mutation?
The episode was criticized for its content, and even the production crew was disturbed by what they had to make. Regardless, what they made was a classic episode of television. Number 3, Weeping Angels, Doctor Who. True to its reputation as the most popular science fiction show of all time, Doctor Who has crafted some truly legendary creatures throughout the decades. The freakiest of them all, the Weeping Angels, were introduced in 2007.
Angela!
The episode Blink found the Doctor, Sally Sparrow, and Larry Nightingale fighting said angels, murderous quantum-locked creatures who deposit their victims in another time period. The angels appear as stone statues when being observed, and strike when their victims are not looking. Their physical appearance, their sudden movements, and their powers are all terrifying. And they have often been ranked in various polls as some of the greatest Doctor Who monsters. Number 2, Pennywise in the Sewer. It. No one can deny the sheer screen charisma and magnetic energy of Tim Curry.
Aren't you going to say hello?
Even to this day, the opening sewer sequence of the It miniseries involving Pennywise and Georgie is deeply distressing, which mainly stems from Curry's menacing performance.
I, Georgie, am Pennywise the Dancing Clown. You are Georgie. So now we know each other.
It helps that there are no dated visual effects to bring the scene down, just good old-fashioned acting prowess. This scene traumatized an entire generation, and even though the movies are more recent, it will likely continue to do so. Next time you're passing a sewer grate, just remember, they all float down there.
When you're down here with me, you float too!
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, Something on the Wing, The Twilight Zone.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination.
Before he was Captain Kirk, William Shatner was that guy from that episode of The Twilight Zone. Officially titled Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, this episode was crafted by some of the greatest minds in horror. It's written by Richard Matheson and directed by Richard Donner, later of The Omen fame.
There's a man out there.
What? Look, he's crawling on...
The famous wing sequence is among the scariest ever put on TV, combining a fear of flying with deliriously surreal and truly terrifying images, a result of great minds at the top of their respective games. It's one of the most parodied scenes in pop culture for a reason. Everyone knows it, everyone fears it, and everyone needs to laugh about it to alleviate any lingering trauma. Which of these moments scared you the most? Let us know in the comments section.
Those eyes and skin and hands.